Liebe Leute, es geht weiter in Sordland. Wir waren gerade auf dem Heimweg, schon fast, und wurden von, jetzt habe ich seinen Namen schon wieder vergessen, von Walter Tusk, dem Magnaten, dem Sprecher der Lotharberg Group, besucht, und er wollte uns bestechen, dass wir den Auftrag des Highway-Baus an eine Firma geben, die zu 50% ihm gehört. Was wir dankend abgelehnt haben. Mal sehen. Ich hoffe, wir haben ihn nicht zu sehr verärgert. Haben ihn so ein bisschen, sehr freundlich allerdings, ein bisschen zu verstehen gegeben, dass wir nicht bestechlich sind. Mal sehen. Er hat angedeutet, dass Marcel Coronti, der Medienmogul, dass er mit dem irgendwie in Kontakt steht und dass das einen Einfluss haben könnte. Also womöglich versuchen sie jetzt die öffentliche Meinung über die Medien zu beeinflussen. Und das werden wir als nächstes mal machen. Wir schauen nach den Nachrichten. So, die Hold Post schreibt, Kibbener suggests expanding executive powers. Aha. The leader of the National Front Party, Cesaro Kibbener, has suggested that the new constitution should expand executive powers, adding fuel to the debate over the possibility of reforming the 1929 constitution. He pointed out the current dire situation of Sordland and emphasized the need for a strong leadership. The current constitution suggests the division of executive power between the cabinet and the president, who has no immunity before the courts for acts of treason and unconstitutional behavior during office. In the system suggested by the NFP, the president would have absolute immunity before the courts, and it is the president who would chair the cabinet. It is not clear yet whether this suggestion would spark further debate in the Reform Committee with the PFJP and the USP. Also das sind die Nationalisten oder beziehungsweise Rechtsextremen hier im Parlament. Die wollen ein autoritäres Präsidialsystem installieren, also noch stärker als ohnehin schon. Welche war das jetzt nochmal? Achso, das war die People's Freedom and Justice Party, das ist die Sozialdemokraten, Anführungszeichen. Proposal had suggested that the president should have no presidential decrees. Might result in the abolishment of the assembly and take the country to an early election, despite the independence counter-proposal to give a similar power to the parliament to take down the president. But that detail was not shared with the press in yesterday's press conference. Okay. So, Präsident Rayne spricht mit den Protestierenden. President Anton Rayne visited towns around Greater Hozord and in the Gruny regions, which were heavily affected by the protests and riots that popped up around the country, triggered by the death of Sirkas. He was seen talking to the protesters and listening to the concerns of the citizens. This sends a powerful message to the Sordish citizens that the government is walking among them and listening to their problems. Hozord is desperately trying to restart Sordland's economy after the recession, and this political unrest is not helping, said a Sordish scholar and professor of law at Hozord State University. Und es gibt Proteste im ganzen Land. Protests erupted around Sordland after the death of Bernard Sirkas, many of which started peaceful but soon turned violent. Protesters with red youth flags were seen in most central cities around Sordland, carrying out violent riots and organizing protests that disrupted much vital services from being delivered to the Sordish people. Protesters held sit-ins which were broken up by riot police with tear gas and water cannons in the regions of Bergier, Angland and Gruny. Thousands of people poured into Republic Avenue, Leckhaven and Zoll Square in Hozord in response to the Young Swords attack. Okay. Sirkas war einer von den Leuten, die Caesar ermordet haben. Ach ja? Ist das so? Ich muss sagen, mit den Römern kenne ich mich nicht so sehr aus. Proteste in Gruni, schreibt Sordland Today. Protests are taking place throughout the Gruni region in response to the assassination of Bernard Sirkas. The protesters raised their concerns about the young swords, the increased cost of living and inequality prevalent in the country. Large rallies have been organized in the city centers of Benfi and Boren. A large congregation of Red Youth members have organized sit-ins and protests aimed at hampering public transport in the city of Valken, which brought the city to a standstill for a few hours before riot police came to disperse large groups of protesters at transportation nodes. Und die Lakehaven Times schreiben, dass die Forderung nach Reform weiter an Zustimmung gewinnen. Demands to reform are gaining more popularity than ever. Latest public opinion reports show that the majority of the Swedish people want changes in the governmental structures that were established after Tarkin Sol's military coup in 1929. The public trust in the Grand National Assembly and the Supreme Court is at an all-time low. Das ist spannend. Keine Unterstützung für den Supreme Court. While rumors of reform talks are coming out from the assembly, it seems unlikely that without complete unity, none of the parties would be able to lead such a proposal. In order to change the constitution, the proposal must collect at least 150 signatures and then reach the needed 166 votes. If the proposal passes the assembly, it is still subject to another voting in the Supreme Court as well as a judicial review, which still stands as the biggest obstacle before the parties. Und politisches Chaos ist ausgebrochen. Da geht es um die Proteste hier drüben, glaube ich. In Bergia. Schauen wir mal. Political violence has surrounded Sordland since yesterday. While officials from the police claim to have the situation under control, protests are turning into riots and violent attacks are occurring around the country. NFP and LUS call for protests. The Labor Union of Sordland. Von der haben wir, glaube ich, noch gar nicht gehört. It's the oldest NGO of Sordland. Its current spokesperson is Katharina Horten. Aha, sie ist ludischer Abstammung. Geboren in Dyer, da waren wir ja auch. She got involved in the Sordland headquarters of the Watchtower of Human Rights. Became Sordland director of Watchtower of Human Rights. In 1948, she left the Watchtower and joined the Labor Union of Sordland, which she launched an assurance scheme and a local newspaper for Bergen farm workers. She began organizing strikes among farm workers, some of which had been successful. Horton is known for her emphasis on direct but non-violent tactics to pressure the state and the farm owners into granting the demands of the strikers. Receiving much support from labor and leftist groups, she was appointed as the spokesperson of the Labor Union of Sordland in 1950. She ran as an independent and was elected to be member of the assembly. Yeah, okay. Many seem to regard the Labor Union as a foreign-influenced NGO, but there hardly seems to be exist of any proof on the matter. In the past decades, it had been unexpectedly successful in increasing the wages of workers in several industries, but their greatest achievement was in the year of 1914 when they led the large miner strike in Estort and challenged the king. Back in the day, huh? Okay. Kesaro Kibena of the National Front Party called a rally to condemn communist influence from United Kontana and called the violent protesters as traitors to Sordland. These millennialists are roaming in our streets, conducting violent attacks in disguise as peaceful protesters. We can't let them exploit a man's murder, said Kibner in a press conference. On the other hand, the labor union of Sordland has gathered to condemn nationalist violence in Sordland. The protest gathered crowds of several thousand and agitators from both sides in Holzort. And acts of vandalism occurred. Katharina Horten accused Kibner for provoking the public. The Young Zords vandalized shops. A group of people with Young Zord flags have vandalized a dozen of shops in the trade district of Anrekar, specifically targeting the Bludish and Agnosordish minorities. The shop owners who defended themselves were wounded in the attack. The local police broke the groups apart. NFP office burned. A group of violent militants have assaulted the National Front Party headquarters in Morna and committed arson. Firefighters have been called to the scene, where fires raged for hours on end. Several nearby houses burned to the ground before it was brought under control. Und was schreibt The Radical Voice? Workers' Party Solidarity March. The pro-minority Workers' Party of Bludia rally in the Bludish majority city of Suzerain attracted a large audience. The gathering was heavy on flags and banners, whipping in the rain and chill wind as the gatherers declared Solidarity with Bernhard Circas. Wie kann man Solidarität mit einem Toten erklären? Among the speakers at the rally was Mansun Leke, a Bludish member of the Assembly, who is standing as the leader of the independents in the Grand National Assembly. Although not a member of the Workers' Party of Bludia, he was the leading figure of the event. We will again foil this war plot that was set up by the Solist ideology, he said, in reference to the series of conflict and bloodshed during Takin Sol's term as president, which claimed thousands of Bludish lives. We will come out of this tunnel of conflict. We will not only win against discrimination, we will win the truth. When we have altogether foiled this trick of polarization, our songs of peace, which spread from Islam, will ring out even stronger all over Sordland. Leke added, in reference to the Islam incident in 1933, which triggered Takin Sol's persecution of Bludish minorities and the formation of the militant organization Bludish Freedom Front. Bludish citizens targeted. 20 Bludish citizens were attacked by a group of people suspected to be members of the Young Zords during their peaceful protest to support Bernhard Circas. The group was overwhelmed and the local police forces couldn't reach the protesters to protect them amidst the chaotic crowd. The attackers ran away without getting caught and 11 of the victims were hospitalized with critical injuries. Tja, ja. Viele Unruhen im Land. Gibt es irgendwas aus dem Ausland eigentlich mal wieder? Keine Meldung. Nee. Falls ihr euch wundert, warum ich immer so hin und her gehe, man kann leider nicht weiter raus. Schauen wir uns den Bericht aus Narbel an. The Ministry of Defense reports that the situation along the border is getting tense. Rumberg's Southern Army was sighted training close to our borders and did not respond after we issued a radio message. The Chief of the Armed Forces, General Kruger, reports to have increased patrolling duties along the northern border to signal readiness. Ja, solange die das da nicht eskalieren, sollen sie mal machen. Local police. Local police working with nationalists. One of our agents, acting as a Young Zords member, had an encounter with two members of the local police in Anrika, Alson Bola and Vic Nezir. According to the report, the policeman tried to bribe the agent to burn down a store that belongs to a known Communist Party member and to instigate further violence. We have detained the policeman on charges of corruption. Gut, dass die Polizei, also dass die überhaupt die Sicherheitsbehörden, Armee und Polizei eher konservativ eingestellt sind grundsätzlich und hier bekanntermaßen ist jetzt auch keine allzu große Überraschung. Damit müssen wir leider rechnen. Das ist das Problem. Ah. After driving through the cliffside rocks, we arrived in Lencourg. There, cheerful citizens greeted us, and the local government officials escorted us to the city hall. Here, a significant meeting about the H3 project would take place. Several construction companies sent their representatives to the city hall. Even though Gus Manga couldn't make the meeting, I had Simon Hall and Lileas Graf by my side. Besides starting our economic recovery, the travel time by road will drop by more than a half, Mr. President. This project will improve the Angland region. I've lived with these people and seen them suffer. I hope so. The aim to economically strengthen this weak region will be partially accomplished. According to my estimations, this project will give about 50,000 citizens from Angland employment. Das ist schon mal gut. Tja, do you need additional support, huh? Die Rezession wird das nicht aufhalten. Was erwarten wir als Endresultat? Failure is not an option ist auch klar. Do you need additional support? Not as of right now. However, things might come up if the project doesn't go according to plan. Thank you for the offer. Simon searched the documents he was holding and found that one he was looking for. I have the overview of the companies here. Simon handed the files over to me. Look at the files. 3 corporations were listed: the Swedish State Corporation, Underhole Constructions and Taurus Holding. Da wollen wir doch mal schauen. Also Underhole kennen wir schon. Das sind die Korrupten, die Arbeitsrecht missachten. Swedish State Company, founded in 1891, is the main government corporation that is tasked with running public construction contracts in Sordland. It is also a part of the Big Four, the 4 largest companies in Sordland. Most usually also called the SSC, it is the most honorable company in the country, with a long and solid track record of accomplishing critical projects. In the recent years, the efficiency of the corporation seems to have dropped due to the recession and the somehow corrupt management structure. It is still considered the safest bet for big projects in the minds of many government officials. Ja, das klingt ja schon mal nicht schlecht. Und was ist mit Taurus? Founded in 1946 by Gerald Face, Taurus Holding is a new and entrepreneurial private company that uses cutting-edge construction technology from Acacia to reduce construction costs and prices. They recently began taking bigger and riskier contracts in several industries, including the construction industry. Taurus also deals with shipyard building, bridge works, and training aircraft hangars. The company is known for its great employee perks and high union membership. It is considered much more open and competitive compared to the usual Swedish corporations. They are known for their port expansion project in Benfi, which was completed with half the budget. Ja, alles klar, coolster Fratz. Kein Problem, macht das ruhig. Der Stream wird noch eine Weile gehen. I reviewed them. I also took the liberty of asking the mayor of Avery to give his opinion on the matter. Which corporation should we talk about? Erstmal das Staatsunternehmen. Okay, das haben wir jetzt schon gelesen. One of the most trusted and honorable companies. It goes against your election promises of moving away from a state-planned economy. Wenn wir die wählen. Aha. Most importantly, it lacks a modern way of thinking, resulting in slower construction. A simple look at the regional highways shows the problem. They do have a wealth of knowledge in infrastructure. I don't agree with the negative statement. The record clearly shows completed contracts with thousands of employees who have more than 20 years of experience. According to the preliminary calculation of the SSC, they would need more resources to finish a project of that size. Ja, wir hören uns erstmal an, was mit den anderen ist. Underhaul. Economic boom. Picking this corporation would fit our market economy policy. The CEO is Chris Shaw. I had to work with Underhaul Construction before in Holsroad. They took several contracts for the central station renovation and left much to be desired. Out of all three, this is the company I trust the least. They seem to fail at respecting the contract terms of their workers, likely to cause trouble. I'm not too sure about trusting them with the contract, but at least they have worked on several mega projects and always delivered on time. Working conditions must be respected. I agree, the workers were undocumented Agnolian and Vajik immigrants with no papers, a clear violation of our laws. According to them, the reason of the bad labor conditions was because of the tight completion schedule, which still doesn't justify the situation. Underhaul was specifically mentioned their solid track record and highlighted that the costs of the project would be more than expected for a project of this scale but finished on time. I'm not sure. Let's talk about Taurus Holding. Yeah. Cutting edge technology. They are known to provide for the workers who are part of the labor union of Sordland. Das ist eigentlich ganz cool. There are other things Taurus does very well, like providing consultants for the state corporations. But I can't vouch for their infrastructure construction at all. Warum das nicht? This company is completely private and directed by a non-government board. Do we even remember if they worked on a mega project at all? Choosing this company is too much of a risk for an important project like this, especially when a proven SSC exists. Ja, das sind die zwei großen Abwägungspunkte, ne? Allerdings, wir gucken mal gerade, ob der Eintrag von Benfi uns noch einen Hinweis gibt. Auf das Hafenprojekt. Scheint nicht der Fall zu sein. Nee. Ja, will man einer relativ jungen, dass sie ihre Arbeitskräfte aus der Gewerkschaft kriegen und deren Arbeitsrecht berücksichtigen, finde ich ziemlich gut. Das könnte uns politische Unterstützung geben auf der linken Seite. Die Frage ist, Vertrauen wir denen? Kann auch sein, dass die einfach mit dem Geld abhauen. Also könnte sein. Spricht jetzt erstmal nichts dafür, aber wer weiß. Müssen wir mit dem Schlimmsten rechnen hier leider. Problem mit der SSC ist halt, sie wollen mehr Geld und sie brauchen länger. Man müsste die also mal modernisieren. Aber darum geht es hier gerade nicht. Es geht einfach nur darum, den Auftrag zu vergeben. Amentus, guten Abend. Hallo. Tja, Amentus weiß wahrscheinlich, was jetzt hier passiert. Muss gerade die Entscheidung treffen, welchem Bauunternehmen ich den Bau des Highways übertragen möchte. The capabilities matter more than the history they have. We need to make unbiased decisions. They took a joint contract in Arcasia for reconstructing the highway intersection of one of the major cities. It went well, but it is their only large-scale success. Und was ist mit dem Hafen? Der ist nicht groß, oder was? If we're going to try a different company, this is the most unique. The project manager from Taurus Holding mentioned that they would be able to finish the project with the allocated funding. They are the only company who found the budget sufficient, making them cheaper. Ja, und? Also das ist doch vielleicht entscheidend, oder? Also sie berücksichtigen das Arbeitsrecht. Ihre Mitarbeiter sind in der Gewerkschaft. Die arbeiten schneller durch bessere Technologie. Was spricht gegen sie? Amentus hat das Falsche gewählt. Taurus is worth considering. It was time to make a decision. Underhall will auch mehr Geld haben. Also Underhall ist aus dem Spiel, die kriegen schon mal gar nichts. Ich weiß, dass das wird natürlich noch größeren Widerstand jetzt von dem Wirtschaftsmokel da hervorrufen, von Tusk und wahrscheinlich auch von dem Medien-Fuzzi, Coronti. Aber das können wir nicht machen. Die wollen mehr Geld, die beachten das Arbeitsrecht nicht und die Qualität der Arbeit ist schlecht. Pieps, pieps, pieps. Oh, mein Rechner fängt auch schon wieder an zu rödeln hier. Also ich tendiere zu Taurus. Ich weiß nicht, die SSC, da werden die Leute sicherlich, hoffe ich mal, auch in der Gewerkschaft sein. Das Arbeitsrecht wird auch berücksichtigt werden, aber sie brauchen mehr Geld und brauchen länger. Haben aber die Erfahrung. Das heißt, was könnte passieren bei Taurus, dass sie das zwar schnell husch husch alles machen, aber die Qualität vielleicht am Ende nicht so gut ist. Wollen wir das Risiko eingehen? Schnelle Ergebnisse machen sich gut im Portfolio, aber wenn die Qualität nicht stimmt, dann fällt das wieder auf uns zurück. Aber wir haben so ein geringes Budget. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich noch einen Punkt in dieses Projekt reingeben will. Und wenn das so ein typischer Staatsverein ist, dann wollen die wahrscheinlich am Ende sogar noch mehr haben. Die es nicht wissen, die es noch nicht gespielt haben. Gustav ist gerade nicht da, aber Ninja vielleicht. Was meinst du? Ich schwanke zwischen SSC und Taurus. Mit einem leichten Hang zu Taurus, auch wenn... Staatsunternehmen finde ich eigentlich auch ganz gut. Für so grundlegende Dinge wie Straßenbau und Energieversorgung und solche Dinge, Grundversorgung. Aber halt schwer zu sagen hier, ne? Ich glaube, ich gehe mit Taurus. No risk, no fun. Good that we are staying consistent to our economic strategy. Ja, nö. Simon signed a certain section of the dossier and fixed his glasses. Very well, Mr. President. The contract will be awarded to Taurus Holding. I wish the outcome of the meeting was different, but at the end of the day, the success of the project is what matters. The company will be notified today and the construction work will begin immediately. I think we are off to a good start. My expectations for a grand opening ceremony are late next year. I better get back to work then. Thank you. The meeting ended and we spent the remainder of the day attending events in Lenkurg. It was nice to enjoy the natural beauty of Angland and to eat some good fish. So, wir haben den ersten Fortschrittsbalken beim Highway bekommen. Das war ja mal wieder eine schwere Entscheidung, obwohl es nur darum ging, wer die Autobahn bauen soll.